Hey, I'm Isabel Bercaw, and when I was 12 years old, I founded a multi-million-dollar bath and body products company called the Bomb Bath. After 5 years of building my own brand, I've discovered a passion for helping young and innovative entrepreneurs tell their stories. Hopefully, you'll be inspired by the guests here on Build-A-Biz and maybe even motivated to start a business of your own. Let's get into it.
This is Build-A-Biz with Isabel Bercaw.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Build-A-Biz. I'm Isabel Bercaw, your host, and today I have a very special guest joining me. Her name is Miracle Olatunji, and she is here today to tell us about how she is just taking the world by storm as a speaker, author, and she's also the founder of OpportuniME. Miracle, thank you so much for joining me here today. I'd love to hear all about your business.
Thanks for having me, Isabel. So I started my business when I was 17. I went to this program. It was called the Diamond Challenge, and it was a high school entrepreneurship program. And it was the first time that I learned about starting your own business or starting a nonprofit or whatever it is you want to start. And that really inspired me seeing other young people who were creating businesses. And so a problem that I noticed at the time was it was really hard for high school students to find summer programs and find opportunities to just level up professionally and personally. And so I decided to create OpportuniME as that resource for people to find opportunities and also learn skills like personal finance and public speaking and all these other skills that we unfortunately don't learn about in school. So I wanted to bridge that gap.
That's super cool. So basically the opportunities that you were wanting to introduce to people, you almost wanted to help people curate different activities that would help their personal development.
Exactly.
Okay, that's super cool. Yeah, because I always remember just getting some pamphlet in the mail that was super undescript, and it was just all these different camps. It was if you want to go to kayaking camp, just send us a check, and it was just a little bit sketchy.
Yeah.
So that's super cool that you wanted to create that platform. And then I know now that you have over 1,000 followers on your OpportuniME Instagram page. So, and that's a very inspirational place. Can you tell us a little bit about how the business has evolved since you first had the idea to start it?
Yeah. So when I started it, I was 17. I was in high school. So my focus was helping other high schoolers. But then when I got to college, I was a bit far removed from that demographic. So I was how can I help people in our generation? So our generation includes high school students and college students and people who are starting out in their career, professionals working. And so I wanted to just help Gen Z. So it shifted from being the high school platform to being a platform for Gen Zers who want to level up personally and professionally and find access to opportunities as well.
So talk to me a little bit about what kind of content you like to put out there on social media specifically, and then what else, I guess, OpportuniME is doing now with students every day, just so I can I'm a very visual person. I say that almost every episode. I like to kind of visualize the action that's going on in people's businesses, if that's possible.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of the content that we put out with OpportuniME is personal finance related content. So things like budgeting and investing, it's really important for us to build our financial futures. And like I said earlier, in school, we don't really learn about money management. I remember I had to file taxes for the first time. I had no idea what I was doing, but I later figured it out. But I really like to create content to help people learn these things. And also from a personal development standpoint, talking about self-care, mental health, because I feel that's so important. And our generation, especially because we're always online, we're always on the go. And so it's easy for us to burn out. And so I've been creating content to help people with navigating that. And then also figuring out different career paths as well. So those are the 3 buckets of content that we mainly make.
Yeah. That's super important because even now, I just we don't really know what the future holds for any of ourselves. So just to have almost some guideposts that just make you feel everything's going to be okay because you have this resource. That's really cool that your business started, helping high schoolers to kind of figure out a couple of these tricky topics and kind of curate those activities that would help with personal development. And then that's kind of morphed into this entire platform that's going to allow you to just change lives, honestly, which is super cool. You mentioned that you think it's important for personal finances to be taught and, learning taxes and all that good stuff from your own experience. Can I maybe ask you a little bit about why you think that's important for our generation to understand that? Especially because it's not taught in school, in this day and age, why that's important?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like because we all have so many different passions, I think like regardless of whatever industry you want to work in, it's so important to have a handle on your money because like it takes up so much of our lives, like being able to plan that trip you want to go on or just like being able to pay for your rent. Like if you can manage your money, you'll be able to have like a better lifestyle. So that's why I think it's so important for our generation.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, I mean, I feel like we might be coming to a point with our like world and stuff where, there's just so many resources out there
Mhm.
that there's like so many opportunities being created. And it kind of seems like you were at the forefront of discovering that, like I can use the interwebs, I guess, or whatever, the very first, like, I mean, I'm not trying to make you sound like an old lady. Like you were 17 when you started your business and you're only 21 now. So it was still fairly recently, but I think like, especially on like TikTok and everything and Instagram, like there's just so many resources now. And it's just cool to see that a young person was at the forefront of that. And I feel like that's something that our generation has an advantage in is, just kind of understanding the market. And that's why I think young entrepreneurs are actually extremely effective because they can, I guess, like almost like predict these trends and, like get with the now, as my mom would say, and just really understand what's going on. So I guess I want to ask you, to somebody who's younger than you, who's wanting to be like a mover and a shaker and figuring out the next big thing, what's some advice that you would give to them just to kind of pace themselves and maybe not get too intimidated by everything that's changing? Do you understand that question, I guess, I'm going to try to ask?
I totally get that. I feel like we have kind of like you were saying, we have all these resources at our disposal, social media, the internet. And sometimes, I don't know if you feel this too, it's like an information overload sometimes. And so it's like, how do you try to step back and like balance your time between what you should focus on? So the advice that I would give someone is like, pick maybe 3 things you're most passionate about and focus on those areas and see like, how can you become better in this skill or how can you learn more about this industry? So that way you're not overwhelmed. Because like, say for example, you pursue one thing, but like later on you find a passion about another thing. It's okay to like change your mind and try new things. But if you focus, like not letting yourself get too bogged down by too many activities, then you won't burn out as easily as you would if you're trying to take on everything.
Yeah. So is that a strategy that you implement in your daily life?
Yes, I feel like I've improved so like I was just having a conversation with someone about this the other day about how like freshman year I was like involved in so many things. Like I'm passionate about a lot and I found that I was just burning out because I was just overly like just over scheduling myself and everything. And so once I learned time management and how to focus more, I feel like much better in terms of my mental health. And also I'm more productive because I've focused,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So when you're kind of spacing out these like 3 goals, would you say you break it down daily or even like hourly? Like, do you just kind of have a big list and then you pick 3 things to work on at a time, or is it maybe a bigger picture kind of thing? Can you just explain to me your thought process there?
Of course. That's a really good question. So what I do is like I write stuff down in my planner and then like I'll go to my calendar and like put those things in my calendar saying like, okay, from this time to this time, I'm doing this. So that way I can hold myself accountable and also not feel so overwhelmed by everything that I need to do in a week. So that's kind of my strategy.
Yeah, that's cool. Even right now, I see lots of little notes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I know this is radio, so they won't be able to see listeners, but they feel like there's lots of notes, but they're very organized. Like I'm very impressed.
Thank you. I can't tell you how many sticky notes I go through in like a month. It's crazy.
So you mentioned when you were telling me a little bit about like your organizational method and why you decided to, or why I guess you were forced to become more organized. You said you were passionate about a lot of different things. Can you tell me a little bit about some different things that you're passionate about and why?
Yeah, of course. So I'm really passionate about writing. I'm passionate about women's empowerment. So like I recently started a new organization called Her Wallet Media, which is all focused on investing. As you could probably tell, I'm very passionate about this topic. And then I'm also really passionate about like media, technology, travel. Like there's so many things. We could be here all day talking about it.
Hey, I mean, that's awesome. And clearly, like when you pick a passion to focus on, you excel at it. You know, you have your OpportuniME that you started when you were only 17 and now you're 21. And I know that you're an author and you're also a public speaker. Can you tell me a little bit about what you like to write about? And then also, I can re-ask you this in a second because it's kind of a two-parter question, but I'd love to also know, like, when you're speaking, what are some of like the key takeaways that you want the audience to take away from what you're speaking?
So I have always wanted to write a book ever since I was little. And I think it was when I was like 6 or something, like I would illustrate stories, like I would draw out people and like draw those little conversation things to show that they were talking. So I was always telling stories. I always loved writing. And then when I was 18, I wrote on my vision board. So I made a vision board for the first time in 2018. And I put on there, like, I want to make this book dream come true. And so I just like started talking to people in my network, asking around, seeing if anyone knows anything about publishing. Like I didn't know where to start. But thankfully, I was able to connect with someone who runs like a publishing company that helps young people. And so I just started writing my book through that program and was able to publish it about a year and a half later. And that was really cool. And then with public speaking, so I feel like there was something I read about how public speaking is like the number one fear that people have. And so for me, when I was like in high school, the way that I started to try to like get over my fear of public speaking was I would like raise my hand and like volunteer to speak at anything I could just to like build up that skill. And then when I started doing it more professionally, I got to speak on topics like personal development and wellness and also business and entrepreneurship. And so usually what I tell people is like the hardest part with anything is just getting started. So a lot of times we just have to get over our own perfectionism and all of our excuses that we make. And that's easier said than done. But usually I tell people it's important to surround yourself with a support system and find mentors who can help you achieve your goals.
That's really great advice, Miracle. We're actually going to take a quick music break, but when we return from the break, I'd love to hear more about your ideas, specifically your vision boards that you were talking about. Hey everybody, welcome back from the music break. You're listening to Build-A-Biz with Isabel Bercaw, and today my guest is Miracle Olatunji, and she has just told me that she's been writing stories since she was 6 years old, and she was also talking to me about vision boards, and I would really love to hear more about that, Miracle. What goes into making a good vision board?
Yes, great question. So, okay, the vision board that I made in 2018 was so basic. I just got my planner and there was like a blank page in one of the early parts of it, or like the beginning of the planner. And I just like cut out images from online. I searched like vacation, or I searched like book, or I searched business, or whatever I wanted to achieve in that year. I just put a visual that would remind me of that goal. So that's kind of how I made my vision board. And I would always try to like look at it at least every week just to remind myself like this is what I'm working towards. So that's how I did it. Nothing fancy.
Do you still make vision boards to this day now and then?
I do, but it's more of like I write down my goals now. So in my journal, I'll write down like what are my goals for the year, and like I'll break them down by the month and say like, okay, this is what I want to achieve this month, and then work towards it.
Yeah, that's super cool. It's almost like you have a vision board in your mind and then you write visions. Yes. Exactly. Yes. Hence the sticky notes on your wall. I need to do that, I think. I think I used to write myself cute little quotes, and that made me happy. So I should do that again. And then I also picked something else out that you said, and you know, it was just like the hardest thing. I think this is probably like the big shebang. Like this is what you wanted the audience to take away. That was the answer to that question, which is just like you just got to get started. You can't make yourself have excuses. And I think this is a really interesting dynamic that you're promoting here. The dynamic between still working hard but still taking care of yourself. Because I mean, I want you to give me your opinion on this, but I feel like sometimes people either take it to one extreme or the other. Or they'll say, I don't believe in self-care. I'm just going to work so hard, you know, skip meals, not get any sleep, and I'm going to take pride in that. Or there are other people who are saying maybe I really need to take some self-care, but then they may not know how to get started on the hard working aspect of things. So I kind of want to know what you think makes for, first of all, if you agree, if that's something that you ever see in the industry, and then also what you think goes into having a balanced lifestyle, because that's kind of like the whole point is you promoting a balanced lifestyle. in this industry. So I want to hear about that.
I mean, you said it, like balance is probably one of the hardest things because you have so many things competing for your time, whether it's school, business, work, friends, like there's so many things that you could be doing. But I would say in terms of like the self-care aspect, if you don't take the time for self-care, it's going to be really easy to burn out and not be as productive as you want to be. So like taking the time to do yoga or meditation or whatever it is that you do to like relax yourself, that's going to help you be a better business owner. It's going to help you be a better friend, like whatever it is that you want to do, like it's going to help you be better at that. So I am a big advocate for self-care and also working hard and like trying to find a balance, if not a balance, a juggle between those things. Cause I feel like it's not always easy to balance it all the time. So
yeah, almost like to recognize when maybe you need to take a step back,
yeah.
and maybe when you're at your best for whatever phase in your life you're in, your personal best in that moment, and then if there's a limit that you can push, and if that's okay with how you're feeling at the moment.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's super cool. And because I feel like you and I, we're both in college right now, and people do like to kind of brag about not taking care of themselves. And I always think that's kind of interesting because I'm like, I'm just on a face mask, not the COVID kind of face mask, but like a nice, relaxing skincare face mask. You know me, I'm going to take a bath with a bath bomb, probably, if I can find a bathtub. So that's what I like to do to relax. I'm kind of curious what you do to relax. You mentioned yoga, or what do you do?
Yeah. So the face mask, I'm with you there. Like I don't know if I should plug this, but there's a really good one that I love. And then I also like to journal. I like to go for walks. I do meditation. There's like a lot of things, like baking. There's just ways that I wind down and like take care of myself. And then I 100% agree with you. It's so weird how people will be like, oh, I only got 3 hours of sleep last night. And it's like a competition to see who got the least amount of sleep. It's so weird.
Yeah, that is totally weird. I think that's a little bit odd in my opinion.
It's so strange.
Yeah. So I guess I just want to ask you a little bit more about like, what are some of your goals for the future? Because we were talking a little bit earlier in the interview about how goal making is a large part of your day-to-day life, picking your top 3 goals. So could you share maybe like your top 3 goals of the day with us right now? And then maybe a little bit more long-term, what some of your goals are.
Oh, I love this question. So one of my goals for the future is I want to write another book, and I want to be able to help more students with like learning about personal finance. So really expanding like education and like the content that we create around personal finances. And then, let's see. I mean, travel is always one of my goals. Like I want to go to like every continent before I turn 30. So I'll see if I can achieve that. But yeah, I would definitely love to travel more and do more public speaking.
Yes. Yeah. That's super cool. And I love that you, I kind of noticed that you put a timeline on some of these things, and I think that's really important. Is there anything else that goes into making a goal that you'd maybe want to mention? What a good goal will be versus maybe a not optimal goal, I guess.
Yeah, I think you touched on it too. Like, have you heard of the SMART goals format? It's like specific.
No.
Oh, okay. So no worries. Like, I think you got T. T is time bound. So like SMART, or specific, measurable, actionable, relatable, and time bound. So the one that you talked about with time bound is like, it's really good to put a deadline on your goals, because otherwise you'll be like, oh, I'll do that one day. Kind of like when I was 6 and I was like, I want to write a book one day, but it was like, there was no specific time. Like, I mean, I couldn't have done that when I was 6, like by saying, oh, by the time I'm 18, I'm going to write a book, but now that I'm older, I like to put time, like deadlines on my goals. Like by the end of the year, I want to achieve this and like all of that,
Yeah, and I love that. I love that you're saying when you're 6, you were like, "Oh, I did not know what I was doing," because none of us did. But I think that's kind of a funny example. And I don't know. I mean, I think that like each person is put in their situation for a reason. And that can be kind of hard to believe sometimes because of the poverty gap. That's one thing that I think of. It's like, how can you tell somebody you're meant to be there when you're kind of in a crappy situation? But I think, at least I think that if you put in what you want to get back out, there will be a relative reward for that behavior and for that mentality, I guess. And I feel like it's really cool that you've been able to, I mean, I don't really know anything about your background other than that you were super entrepreneurial 6-year-old, but I just think it's super cool that that by the age of 21, you've created this empire. And I'm so happy that you've come on Build-A-Biz to tell us about all your wisdom and stuff. So thank you so much, Miracle.
Thanks for having me, Isabel.
Yes, and then a really quick takeaway, I'd love for you to plug where we can find your book and where the best resources are to find the OpportuniME, I guess, like inspirational information.
Yeah, of course. So my book is on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Target.com. And then I'm active on Instagram at my personal Instagram and also at OpportuniME. So that's where you can find me.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Miracle.
Thank you.
All right, so if you enjoyed this episode and you maybe want to listen to it again or check out some other Build-A-Biz episodes, go to the Build-A-Bear YouTube channel where you'll find a Build-A-Bear Radio playlist, and all of the episodes will eventually be on that playlist. You can also check out the Build-A-Bear Instagram, and also my Instagram's Isabel.Bercaw if you want some updates on who I'm going to be interviewing next. It's a lot of fun. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.